I invested over $3,000 into the Bitcoin mining app. Has it been worth it? If you want to make passive income that will eventually outpace your investment as well as buying Bitcoin outright, this is the best cloud mining app on the market. This video will give you a complete breakdown on the investment potential this app provides, a full tutorial on the app, and a look at my account after being invested in it for over 2 months. To download the app, you need to search for Bitcoin mining in Google Play or the Apple App Store. The blue icon on the top left is the one you want. Click Install and open it up after it's installed. Log in with your Google Play or Apple ID. If you have an invitation code, you can also enter it here, but you can enter it at any time you want as well. If you're an Android user, the first thing it offers you is a $5 Newcomer Miner. This is the best offer the app provides. Not only does it give you the equivalent of two $10 miners for $5, but it also gives you a 100% boost on your ad rewards. I'll break this down in detail later in this video. Here's the home interface of the app. At the top, you can see a running count of the amount of Bitcoin the app is earning you. As I said before, I invested quite a bit into this app, 3,378 to be exact, but I am earning 1 Satoshi about every 10 seconds at this point. On the top left here, you can see that I earned 8,508 Satoshis yesterday. If you click that, it'll bring you to your total earned Satoshis as of yesterday. You can see that I've earned 602,598 Satoshis since I started using the app. On March 10th, I made a purchase using the new discount for Android users, and my total Satoshis per day went from 8,389 to 8,508. The extra March 10th you see here was Daylight Savings Day, which is why rewards are a little lower that day. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see your daily rewards for about 6 weeks back. But I know myself that by January 16th, I had over $3,000 invested. I do weekly account updates in the Shorts tab of this channel, which takes my total sats earned, compares that to Bitcoin's current price, as well as other stats. So check that out if you want to see a full breakdown of my account. I put the link in the description. On the top right here will show your invitation rewards. If you input somebody's invite code in, they receive 10% of your rewards after you put the code in. If you purchase a miner before you put someone's invite code in, they will not receive that bonus, so just a heads up. I do provide incentive for using my invite code, KHMVHN, as I give away 10% of my invite code rewards every time I hit 100,000 Satoshis. I post weekly updates every Sunday morning on the post tab of the channel. This is the best way to support the channel, costs you nothing, and does give you something out of putting in somebody's invite code. Just comment your Bitcoin mining app ID in any comment or post and I'll enter you into the contest. The last thing I wanted to point out is once you get past 20 invite code IDs, it resets. If you do want to see your rewards past the first 20 IDs, just email support and they'll get back to you pretty quickly. Next, let's go over the free miners you can get from watching ads in detail. Each 1 terahash per second you have earns you 58.1 sats per day. The way I figured this out is taking my total sats earned per day and dividing it by my total hash rate, which is 164.12. You get 5.6 gigahash per second for every ad you watch. This miner lasts for 24 hours. The app allows you to watch 35 ads per day, which comes out to 196 gigahash per second or 0.196 terahash per second. 51.8 times 0.196 is 10.15 sats per day. If you watch all the daily ads for an entire year, you'll end up with 3,074.75 sats. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, that's $2.96. At a $100,000 Bitcoin, that's $3.70. And if Bitcoin ever hits $1 million, those ads will give you $37.05 over a year. If you buy the $5 Newcomer Miner, your ad boost doubles. You'll now be getting 392 gigahash per second, as well as 20.3 sats per day just off of ads. If you do buy the $5 Newcomer Miner and watch all the ads, you'll end up with 40.88 sats per day, a pretty good boost. And if you do this, you'll have 14,921 sats after an entire year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, that's $11.94. But if you hold on and Bitcoin ever hits $1 million, that's $149.21 off of just a $5 investment in watching ads. Which is pretty good if you look at this as something as long-term and not just lasting for a year. Next, the little speaker button on the left here is the announcement button. We had some slowdown in the app a little while back, and this is where that maintenance to fix it was posted. They haven't put any updates on here, but I look for changes daily, and if I find any, I'll make a video on larger changes, and I put smaller changes in the post tab. Anybody who's been watching this channel for a while knows I'm pretty quick on it. The next thing I'll touch on quickly is that little moving bar in the middle that's showing people buying miners and claiming free miners. Back in February, we watched that middle bar for an entire hour and tracked it. I'll put the link to that video in the description. They made $36,245 in that hour. This was still while the buy one get one promotion was active, but before the new discounts for Android users. So while those numbers may not be updated with today, I can still say that they're selling a ton of miners. Next, let's head to the frequently asked questions. We currently make 51.8 sats per day, and that hasn't changed since we started using the app. But it can and probably will if Bitcoin's price goes up and also Bitcoin's mining difficulty goes up. Right now, with 164.12 terahash per second with no electricity fees, you would get 9,200 sats a day. I make 8,508 sats a day, so the 692 sats I give them is a 7.5% cut to pay for the electricity and maintenance fees. But when I made my first video, this cut was a little under 9%. Not a drastic difference, but definitely something to look for in the future. One thing that separates this cloud mining app from most other cloud mining apps is that when you buy your miner, it's yours as long as the app exists. Just like any app on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store, it could be gone tomorrow and we would be out of our investment. But after being with the app for a few months, seeing how quick their support is and how often they update it, I believe this app is around for the long haul. Next, let's head into the store. When you're looking into investing into Bitcoin, you're seeing how many sats you're going to get at Bitcoin's current price with the money you have. The best thing about investing into the Bitcoin mining app is that you know over time that you'll receive more sats than if you would have just bought Bitcoin outright. Next, I'm going to be going over every miner up to $800 in depth. As far as daily and yearly earning potential at Bitcoin prices of $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, and $1 million. As well as long as it would take to exceed the amount of sats you would receive from buying Bitcoin outright from ranges of $80,000 up to $120,000. The $5 Newcomer Miner for Android earns you 20.73 sats per day and 7,566 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, that will earn you $6.10 a year, at $100,000 at $7.56, and if it ever hits $1 million, it'll be $75.66 a year. That's a 121% APR even at 80K, but that skyrockets all the way to 1,513% at 1 million. Now compare that to buying Bitcoin outright. If you were to buy $5 of Bitcoin at $80,000, that would give you 6,250 sats. And with the Newcomer Miner earning you 20.73 sats a day, it'll take you 301 days until you reach 6,250. If Bitcoin ever hits 120K, this goes down all the way 201 days until you start making more sats than if you bought Bitcoin outright. For those of you who only want to make a small investment, I definitely recommend this miner to you. Also, remember the 100% boost it gives to your ad rewards. Next is the $10 miner. As you'll see as we go on, the higher that you make your investment, the higher your return on investment and APR will be. The $10 miner will earn you 10.36 sats per day and 3,781 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, that's $3.05 earned per year. At $100,000, that goes up to $3.78, and if Bitcoin ever hits $1 million, that'll be $37.81. With a 31% APR at 80K, all the way up to 378% at $1 million. Now, comparing it to buying $10 of Bitcoin at $80,000 will give you 12,500 sats. And at 10.36 sats per day, it'll take 1,207 days to reach the same amount of sats if you bought Bitcoin outright. You can see the days progressively go down all the way to 804 at a 120K Bitcoin. The $20 miner will give you 21.24 sats per day and 7,752 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, that's $6.20 a year. At $100,000, that's $7.75, all the way up to $1 million at $77.52, with APRs all the way down from 31% all the way up to 388% at $1 million. If you were to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin at an $80,000 Bitcoin price, you would receive 25,000 sats. And at 21.24 sats per day, it would take 1,177 days to reach the same amount of sats as if you bought $20 of Bitcoin outright. This would go down all the way to 784 if Bitcoin ever went up to 120K. The $50 1.1 terahash per second miner gives you 56.98 sats per day and 20,798 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, this miner will earn you $16.64 a day. At $100,000, that's $20.78, all the way up to $207.98 if Bitcoin ever hits $1 million. You can see the APRs ranged all the way down from 33 all the way up to 416%. Comparing that to buying $50 of Bitcoin at 80K, that would give you 62,500 sats. And with the 1.1 terahash per second miner giving you 56.98 sats per day, it would take you 1,097 days until you broke even with the amount of Bitcoin you would get if you bought it outright. This goes down to 731 days if Bitcoin ever reaches 120K. The miners ranging from $100 to $800 actually have a discount for Android users. I have a link to a tutorial video on how to get that discount in the description. So for miners between $100 and $800, there will be two sets of sats, one with and one without the discount. The 2.3 terahash per second miner is $100 for Apple and $93 for Android. That means while our earnings for these miners are the same, our APR increases and the time that we start seeing a profit off our investment decreases. The 2.3 terahash per second miner gives you 119.1 sats per day and 43,486 sats per year. This is $34.79 at an $80,000 Bitcoin, $43.56 at a $100,000 Bitcoin, all the way up to $435.59 at a $1 million Bitcoin. You can see the changes in APRs, like 35% without the discount and 37% with the discount at $80,000, but it does change a lot at higher prices, like 436% compared to 468% at $1 million. If you were to buy $100 or $93 of Bitcoin outright at $80,000 Bitcoin, you would receive 125,000 or 116,250 sats respectively. At 119.14 sats per day, it would take 1,049 or 975 days until you reach the amount of sats if you bought Bitcoin outright. This goes down to 699 days and 659 days at 120K. The 3.5 terahash per second miner is $150 for Apple and $142 for Android. This is $52.94 at an $80,000 Bitcoin, all the way up to $661.74 if it ever gets up to 1 million. But you can see that the discount does make a pretty big difference as Bitcoin's price rises. Also, just looking at the chart, you can see the drastic difference between buying Bitcoin outright at 80K compared to 120K. The difference between 979 days and 652 is a ton in my opinion. The 4.7 terahash per second miner is $200 for Apple and $188 for Android. This earns you 243.46 sats per day and 88,863 sats per year. This gives you $71.09 if Bitcoin is at 80K, $88.86 at 100K, all the way up to $888.62 if Bitcoin hits $1 million. And you're looking at APRs of 36 and 38% at 80K, all the way up to 444 and 473% at 1 million. When buying Bitcoin outright, $200 gets you 250,000 sats, $188 gets you 235,000 sats. At 243.46 sats per day, it'll take 1,026 days to reach 250,000 sats, 965 days to reach 235,000 sats. This goes all the way down to 684 and 643 days respectively at $120,000 Bitcoin. The 6 terahash per second miner is $250 for Apple and $235 for Android. This miner earns you 310.8 sats per day and 113,442 sats per year. This comes out to $90.75 at an $80,000 Bitcoin, $113.44 at $100,000, and $1,134.42 if Bitcoin ever hits 1 million. The APRs range from 36 and 39% all the way up to 454 and 483%. $250 and $235 get you 312,500 and 293,750 sats at an $80,000 Bitcoin. And at 310.8 sats per day, it'll take 1,005 or 945 days until you start seeing more sats than if you bought Bitcoin outright. But this goes down to 670 and 630 if Bitcoin goes up to 120K. The 7.5 terahash per second miner is $300 for Apple and $281 for Android. This miner gives you 388.5 sats per day, which comes out to 141,802 sats per year. This comes out to $113.44 at $80,000 Bitcoin, $141.80 at 100K, all the way up to $1,418.02 at $1 million. Our APRs started getting a bit higher at 38 and 40% starting at 80K, all the way up to 473 and 505% at 1 million. At $300 and $281, you'll receive 375,000 and 351,250 sats at $80,000 Bitcoin price. And at 388.5 sats per day, it would take you 965 days or 904 days until you started receiving more sats than if you would have bought Bitcoin outright. So each miner starting from 300 going up to 800 has the same APR and return on investment stats. It also has the same days as buying Bitcoin outright, so these next few should be a little quicker. The 10 terahash per second miner is $400 for Apple and $374 for Android. This miner gives you 518 sats per day, which comes out to 189,070 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, this will earn you $151.26. At $100,000, this is $189.07. If it ever gets up to $1 million, this will earn you $1,890.70 a year. The 15 terahash per second miner is $600 for Apple and $561 for Android. This miner gives you 777 sats per day and 283,605 sats per year. This comes out to $226.88 at an $80,000 Bitcoin, $283.60 if it hits 100K, all the way up to $2,836.05 if it ever gets to $1 million. And finally, the 20 terahash per second miner is $800 for Apple and $747 for Android. This miner earns you 1,036 sats per day and 378,140 sats per year. At an $80,000 Bitcoin, this gets you $302.51. If Bitcoin gets to 100,000, it's $378.14. And if you hold on to your Bitcoin and it reaches $1 million, you'll have $3,781.40 every year you've had this app. This app is not a get-rich-quick scheme by any means, but it does have the best rates of any app on Android or Apple, and will yield the best passive income you can find, especially at higher miner prices. Next here on the top, you can see my total computing power. I have 164.12 like I said before, which gives me 8,508 sats per day. On the top right here, you'll see View. This will show you every miner that you purchased. You can see that my most recent miner purchase as of March 10th was 253,151,491, which is a pretty insane number. This has to include miners watched from ads, but it's still a pretty high number from an app that's only been around for about 7 months. Next is the Wallet tab. This shows your total current Bitcoin ready to be withdrawn, as well as your withdrawal history. If you click Withdraw on the top right, then choose Lightning, it'll give you the option to withdraw as little as 20,000 up to 45,000 sats into any Lightning wallet with no fees. I've made multiple wallet withdrawal videos that I'll link in the description if you need any help with that. Last is the Profile tab. On the very top, you can input an invite code if you didn't do it when you installed the app. Next is Share, which is pretty self-explanatory. Then in Settings, there's the Contact Us button. Support for this app is actually pretty good. They've always gotten back to me within a day, and whenever there's been any problems with the app, they do fix it pretty quickly. The last thing I wanted to point out is the user agreement. In the disclaimer, it does say that this app is on an as-is or as-available basis. The evidence shown by the consistent updates of this app made me feel pretty good about the longevity of the app, but this is the risk you are taking. So that's it. If you're interested in creating passive income, the Bitcoin mining app is a great option if you believe in the future of Bitcoin. I hope this video helped you decide that the Bitcoin mining app is a good option for you for free users, small investors, all the way up to whales. If this video helped you at all, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you think I've earned it, please use my Bitcoin mining app code that you see on the screen. And remember to comment your Bitcoin mining app ID code so I can put you in that contest for 10,000 Satoshis. I appreciate you all for watching, and until next time, I'll see you up in the clouds.